Yeah, thanks. So before I start, I just wanted to say, and I'm sure you'll all agree, how inspiring the entire movement has been. I think I personally have never seen a week straight of headlines covering climate change, the crisis, and the scale of the crisis that we face. And it's so refreshing to be able to turn on the news and not see the daily slog of Brexit and party politics that has plagued our politics for so long. So, from my perspective as a school striker, I've been on the 3 major school strikes, and every time that I think about them, one thing comes out, and it's this unwavering sense of purpose that is palpable every time you go. The media and the government have told us that we don't know why we're there, that we don't know what we're doing, or even worse, that we're all just there to get a few days off school. This patronising viewpoint that implies that we can't see the full scale of the crisis that's staring us right in the face is simply not true. We know that we live in a system that puts the extraction of profit above everything else. We know that because of our actions for the past 100 years, our planet faces mass extinction. And we know that we pump out carbon dioxide at a simply unsustainable rate. All this information might understandably make someone panic, and yet every time you go to these strikes, everyone knows what they have to do, why they have to do it, and why if they don't do it, we face disaster. It's this unwavering determination that is so inspiring for me. To me, it represents how students and the youth across the country are no longer willing to be ignored by the political establishment. In my opinion, it's the duty of all students and school strikers to push their universities and secondary schools and primary schools to declare a climate emergency, as it can't be lost on any of us that this is an emergency. I believe that to avert disaster, we will challenge the political and economic system we live in as a means to save the planet we live on. And so, I think that's why it's so important that we don't lose momentum in this movement. I think the political infrastructure that trade unions can offer is vital if the movement is to continue. Indeed, I would really like to see, I'm sure everyone would, like to see a general strike where all workers from all sectors of the economy come together with the school strikers, with Extinction Rebellion rebels, and with all climate activists to tell people, to tell the government that their inaction will not be tolerated by any sane society. Sorry, one second. I think another thing that is really important that we should do is we shouldn't be scared to expand into other movements. Climate change affects everything and everyone, and its consequences are being seen already today. Today's climate refugees are what perhaps may be of millions around the world, and the message that we have to drive home is that refugees are welcome here. In this way, we can add some diversity to the issues we tackle, while also giving another angle to the United Against Racism movement. I think this not only shows the breadth of the crisis we're facing, but adds some much-needed diversity to our movement. Criticism that you hear sometimes that's slung at climate activists, XR rebels and school strikers as if it's the end of us, is that we don't have an alternative, that we may protest, but we offer nothing new. But that's simply not true. The Green New Deal offers the economic reform that is necessary to save the planet we live on. Proper investment in renewables alongside rapid restructuring of who and what our economy works for is vital if we are to save the planet we live on. The political demands of Extinction Rebellion, too, are very important. The demand that a climate emergency is called is vital, as we can be in no doubt this is an emergency. Additionally, the call for a People's Assembly, too, will provide the political will necessary to pass economic reform and political reform that is so desperately needed. As a school striker, however, I'd just like to make one little addition. My generation is going to be most affected by the decisions made today. Our generation will see the effects of climate change and will have to deal with its consequences. It's for that reason that when we're discussing the future and the reform of our future, it is vital that 16-year-olds across the country are given a seat at the discussing table. And that's why I demand that 16-year-olds get the vote. In summary, I'd just like to say that it is vital for our movement to continue that we don't look inwards, but expand outwards, revealing the true breadth of the crisis that we face. Every person at this table and in this room has a part to play in our future. Let's not be the ones to let it down.